Good morning, everybody. Hello. Welcome all to another Audio Galleries. I say another, episode 21 of Audio Galleries, a Rug Radio production, hot on the tail of a great show last week. I am Benjamin White at Hello Ben White on X, your host, bringing you more art, more inspiration to create, joined by my colleague Sigrid, who is managing the AG account. All previous 20 episodes of Audio Galleries are also podcast episodes available on Apple, on Spotify, on YouTube, etc. Go and check them out after this show, not now. Quick disclaimer. This show is not intended to, nor should it be treated as financial advice. Do your own research and stay safe in Web3. It is also a recorded spaces that will go on to be a published podcast. Please consider this when requesting to speak later in the episode. Can I ask a few favors? Can you all jump up into the nest at the top of the space and retweet this room? Let people know what we're doing in here. And also, if you want to go down into the bottom right-hand corner, I see someone has already. Introduce yourselves. Ask any questions as we go. I will pick them up. I will answer them. If you are shy and don't like to come up, if you do like to come up, by all means, request. And later on in the episode, I will bring some additional faces up to ask some questions if they would like. Episode 20, last week, with Stephen Bliss was fantastic. Stephen of Rockstar Grand Theft Auto fame and his beautiful artwork, Sin Petica. It was the first show back following our summer break, and Stephen did not disappoint. His candid answers covering the potential and also the frustration he has endured in Web3. And I thought it was really, really refreshing to hear him talk that way. Thanks to those who joined. Thanks to those who minted Stephen's work. Share of revenue for artists minting with Audio Galleries is now over $215,000, which is absolutely incredible. For context, if you are new, Audio Galleries is an art-focused Web3 project working to connect emerging and established artists with a community of digital art collectors and enthusiasts. The show features an artist creating stunning artwork with a story to tell and making it available via the blockchain. I interview these guests and we learn more about their style and their inspiration and their process and their previous works and their future plans. And during the show, we launch an open edition, although this week it's a generative edition. Mint with our friends at OpenSea, with artwork provided by our guest and available to purchase between $15 and $75. Audio Galleries Mint Pass holders who mint these pieces will also be rewarded with additional exclusive pieces, airdrops. More on that when today's mint goes live. The bears from Stephen's mint last week were all airdropped this afternoon. For more information, please go to Audio Galleries in Twitter, X, and follow that, and then you can find out all the rest of it. Discord, newsletters, all the rest of it. I am delighted to welcome back Tristan, Creator Partnerships at OpenSea. Hey, Tristan.
Hey, Ben. How's it going?
Lovely to hear your voice. It's going well. How are you? How was Japan?
I'm doing great. Japan was amazing. I'm so jet lagged, so you're gonna be driving this bus today. But
no worries.
I'm so excited to be here, Ricardo. I'm such a huge fan.
Yeah, absolutely. Chime in when you're ready. But it's great to have you back, and I can't wait to catch up with you about Japan. I want to hear all about it.
Thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me again.
No worries. Our artist today, I'm so delighted to make this introduction. Ricardo Cavolo, I think I pronounced that correctly, is a Spanish artist with an eclectic style that comes from his relationship with folk art, European medieval iconography, comic books, tribal imagery. Where to begin? Ricardo's art is all about stories and characters and their experiences across time. Utilizing art as a complex narrative, he often focuses on portraiture and iconography. Oh, Ben, say that again. Iconography. To propel his protagonists to champion their unique tales. Referencing historical and fictional illustrations, his use of asymmetry and symbolism connects to a modern and playful audience. I love it. His portfolio features public murals, art exhibitions across the globe, from Paris to Moscow, Mexico City to Singapore, and his body of work, illustrations, graphic novels, fashion, collaborations, digital artworks, toys, and his own clothing essentials. Notably, he has collaborated with Gucci, Alexander McQueen, Kaytranada, Swizz Beats, Mercedes-Benz, Air Jordan, Bally, Starbucks, EA Sports, and Superplastic. What a resume. Ricardo Cavolo, welcome to Audio Galleries.
Thank you, Ben. How are you? You explained the whole thing extremely well. I want that. I need that text, please.
I will.
Introduction.
I'll send it over. It took me a little while.
Okay.
It's so lovely to have you on, Ricardo. I know that you are not a
Thank
regular public speaker, so I also know that English is not your first language. So I will try. I will try to slow down a little bit, and please don't be worried, don't be nervous. It's all good. We're all friends here. It's amazing to have you here with us. How are you, first of all?
I'm good. I'm really happy because I mean the main reason is this new generative NFT. I'm really excited. I was talking with Andre. We will talk with him later. My brother. This is for me is one of the highest levels we've been doing something for the last 12 years, maybe, in terms of art, in terms of passion, in terms of just showing our inner kids. So I'm so happy.
Great. Well, I am so happy to have you here. It's a real pleasure. I sought you out back when we were first setting up Audio Galleries, and it's really interesting because your universal symbol is the heart with the flame, and I know you have that tattooed as well on your hands. And very interestingly, I also have a heart with flames tattooed very small on between my index finger and my thumb. And I was just like, holy moly, not only do I love this guy, but he's also got the same tattoos as me. Well, kind of. But it was it's been a real pleasure pulling this whole collection together with you. I'm so excited to talk about it. Folks, if you want to check out the work whilst we're talking, it has been minting for 24 hours to a very, very small select few, 100 pieces, to holders of an edition that we ran with Ricardo a few months ago in the Audio Galleries Discord. So folks have been able to get early access tokens 1 to 100, and then the rest of the tokens will be available in about 20 minutes. But you can go to the homepage of OpenSea right now and you can check out the work that has already been minted. And I'm sure you will all agree it is absolutely stunning. Ricardo, why don't we start with some questions?
Yeah.
I would love to know how you became an artist.
That's an easy one. My father, he's also an artist. So when I was born, our house was more a studio than a house. So I was surrounded always by canvas and paint and brushes and markers. So I could choose another way. I mean, I was never pushed to be an artist. That's like almost suicide. But I don't know. It became natural. You know, I was just, at first I was doing the same thing like my father, because you do that when you're a kid. And I was, the more I was spending time drawing, I understood that would be like, I always say it's like my actual country, you know, my homeland, the art. So I'm free there, and I'm free to express everything that I have in my mind, obsessions and things that I am afraid of and happy with. So it's like my homeland. So it became natural. And of course I did all the stuff like in high school arts and fine arts in the university, and then a few years of a struggle, of course, before becoming a professional artist. And I'd say for the last 12, 13 years, I've been professional in
amazing art. And I love hearing that about you, things that you are passionate and kind of like fantasize over, things that are really exciting for you, things that make you happy, things that make you sad. Are you quite obsessive? Because like this body of work is so vast, and like I feel like actually also that all of the traits that you've got in there, I think you could have carried on. I'm certain you could have carried on. I think you've had to be quite disciplined to stop where you did.
I'd say more the word I'd say it's passionate, especially right now. we've been talking about this before. I can say with no shame that a few years ago I was thinking that maybe mix my inner kid's passion that I still keep and my work, it wouldn't be so serious, if I can say that, in a stupid artistic area or atmosphere. But I don't know, maybe through a personal tunnel that I went through because of depression, and I was working with therapy, I understood that if I'm here as an artist, I have to be true, and that means to take whatever the things that I'm passionate of and just talk about them and with them in my work. So for the last, I say 2 3 years, I'm just like I'm really passionate more than ever about showing what I have in my side inside of me, and yeah, just showing my passion, like fantasy, as you mentioned, all that type of universe, like Tolkien and vampires and I don't know, medieval stuff and monsters and all these type of things. I'm not. I mean, I don't feel ashamed anymore. I'm proud of it, and I want to talk about the things that I want to talk about my work, but with that kind of grammar or
I love
vocabulary.
that, and I really get this sense of like nostalgia too when I look at your work. I look at it and I see references to Dungeons and Dragons and to Zelda and to Lord of the Rings and all of these different things, and it, for me, observing your artwork, it kind of feels very comfortable for me. It feels like I could like nestle in and read a story, and I love that about it. It's amazing. Tell me then. Oh, go on. No, go on. No. Please finish.
No. I'm done.
Well, I'd love to know about the art scene, like where you are from, or what artwork you kind of like grew up around. What has it influenced your work?
Yeah. Again, it's something that I've been trying a few years ago. I was trying to hide, trying to become a serious, boring artist. And now, as I mentioned before, and now I'm really happy to show what is my the fountains, the sources of my inspiration. I'd say since I'm a kid, of course, comics. I think comic books. It's been the first time that I was facing any kind of a publication edition book with more drawings than words. My father had an amazing Conan collection, and I was obsessed. Even before that, I was able to read. Of course, I was eating and drinking all those images. So comic books, of course, cartoon. Uh, um, it's something that I've been watching TV when I was a kid, like for hours. That's not so good, guys. But I was there. It was in the 80s. It was different, and I was drawing when I was watching cartoons. So it's kind of it's not so bad. Comics, cartoon, and when I grew up and I was more adult, I was discovering another ways of let's say art, and I became really obsessed with art brut or outsider art. Is it's a path not so well known, but really, really interesting, that I invite people to check it out in case they don't know a lot of about it. It's really interesting. To me, it's a mix of non-academic way of doing things, but speaking about really deep stuff, and I love that combination.
That's amazing, and I love hearing all of those kind of like tales of the way people grew up. I mean, I'm a child of the 80s also, and I can vouch we watched way too much television in our who or what inspires you, Ricardo? I'd love to know like what work you look at as a fan and as an admirer.
You know what? I always seem kind of a snob guy, but I don't have like particular people or artists to be. I mean, of course, there's thousand of them, but there's nobody in particular. I always say something really, really. How can I say with no so much sense? I say history of art. I can pay attention of. I was again when I was a kid. My father he used to have encyclopedia. I don't know, like 50,000 pages of history of art, and I was spending a lot of time just watching. I don't know, sculpture from the primitive ages or medieval art. And I know history of art is being one of the main pillars or columns to pay attention, you know.
Amazing. And do you know what? I find I often get that answer actually from many of the artists that we've worked with.
Yeah.
I find that it's not that they don't appreciate other people's art, it's that they are observing it, but they're always thinking about what they are going to create. And I find that all the time. I had a really similar conversation with Philip Colbert a few months ago, and he was like, "It's not that I don't like other people's artwork. It's just that I'm always thinking about what I'm going to do next."
Exactly. It sounds like really like a huge ego, but to be an artist is also like I always say that ego is like a horse, and you have to ride that horse in the proper way to not be annoying, but at the same time to look, you know, wonderful and amazing, and you cannot watch to the other side. So yeah, it's something like that.
Fantastic.
Some of the artists been mentioned in response to that question, like their fear of sort of consuming too much art that will then influence their work too much, and they want to ensure that there's, you know, it's true originality, I guess, in their work. Ricardo, is that something
Yeah.
that you think about when, you know, consuming other art, or like, you know, constantly thinking about what you're going to be doing next?
Yeah, that's a really nice question. I mean, and it happens. It's really interesting. I have to say that, of course, I love to go to museums and galleries, and most of my Instagram feed, for instance, it's art. But if I want to feed my background, my universe, usually it comes from another different kind of arts, not painting or illustration. It's more movies, a lot of video clips and music videos. It's been always like a big inspiration to me, and it's always giving me more a lot of ideas. Of course, comics, books, documentaries. It's from those places where I get the main ideas, and if I check in, let's say, art, or I'm gonna check, I don't know, Gothic art for this, is just to find tools or a proper way to show what I want to talk when I learn something in another movie or a song or something like that. It's weird, but I use art for how to translate. And the other kind of arts, let's say, like I mentioned before, is more like the ideas are coming from there, or maybe it's about the feeling. I feel more connected with other things, from music, for instance, or movies, and then it touches something inside of myself, and then I go to the art to see how can I translate that.
Yeah, it really does come through in your work, because you can tell, like, you know, Ben teed it up really nicely when he talked about the stories that your art really conveys. And I think that that very much shows in the way that you're consuming different types of media and different art forms, and then portraying that in your style and your way through your lens. You've mentioned now a couple times sort of emotion feeding into your work, and also you briefly mentioned mental health. I'm curious
Yeah.
what and if that has played a role in your art, and, you know, if there's any sort of like, if you get anything from creating, like, in terms of like positive mental health, or being able to sort of convey emotion in a way that you may not be able to. I know art can be very therapeutic, but curious what role mental
Yeah.
health has played maybe in your journey as an artist.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned before that I went through a depression for a year, and I had to work in therapy about that. And I can say for sure, when I was depressed, I wasn't able to handle a pencil, not at all. I link directly to draw and paint with being happy, with being full of energy, because it's something that I enjoy, and I need to be with energy for doing that. It's like, okay, I want to play a match of football, but I'm so tired that I'm not gonna enjoy it. So if I'm down, I try not to be, but of course I'm a human person, so I work not to be a lot. If I'm down, I'm not drawing or painting, and I don't even get in nice ideas about that. The thing is, something that I always, when I talk about my depression, I can say that I learned so many things for practical life, and of course, but also as an artist. But um, I always take if I want to start to work, I always need to have the positive energy. That's not so difficult to me, but it's not like maybe music, we always say the best songs is when you're sad and you write that song, blah, blah, blah. And that's true. But in my case, when I visit my homeland, as I mentioned before, I need to be happy, I need to be full of energy, and I want to enjoy the 30 minutes or the 3 hours that I'm going to be in that session.
It's really amazing to hear your process of processing, and how it's really separate from the process of creating for you. And I think it really
Yeah,
shows in your work because you have these different motifs and monsters and certain things that could be portrayed
yeah.
as scary, but they really do show up in your work in a really joyful and comfortable and
Hmm.
whimsical way, which I think is really fascinating. And that was really amazing context to help really like explore your work a little bit more. Thank you.
Thank
Love the
you.
word whimsical, Tristan.
Right?
You can come back for sure. Well, perfectly
Yeah.
teed up as well for Ricardo for my next question, which was to talk more then about the artistic process. And I don't know
Uh-huh.
if I mean the process of kind of getting in the zone. I think I mean more about like the literal process, because your pictures, paintings, drawings, illustrations, whatever you want to call them, they're so intricate, and they're so absolutely like totally you. Someone could put, I think I said this to Stephen last week, I can't believe I'm going to repeat it, but someone could put 100 images in front of me and I would be able to pick yours out,
Yeah.
and they could be similar, but I would still be able to pick yours out. Your work is so like clearly your own, and so I'm really curious to know, like, what's your process of creativity?
I don't even sure about that, and I think it's good, because I there's no magic, of course, but I call it magic because I don't think about that much. I know there's a process about, as I said before, feeding my inner universe. I don't know, watching movies, reading comic books, uh, playing with my sons. I don't know, everything works. But I don't process the things like, okay, so this movie is gonna work in this way to my next project, or I never choose. Of course, if I'm investigating something and I'm going deeper in a subject, I'm I'm doing a research and I know that it's gonna give me more info about a particular project that I'm developing. But I always say something really boring, that what I do is I work a lot. The good thing is I also work so fast that I don't process a lot what I'm doing. It's becoming something it's coming like natural. Like I cook the idea in my mind, and then I just let in a way go let go to the paper or the canvas, using the usual grammar, the usual vocabulary, the usual symbols. I don't think about it. Sorry, because I didn't give any tip or any
No, not at
I
all.
didn't unveil the surprise, but I don't think about it, and I won't keep it like that, because it means like it becomes from the guts, and it's natural, you know.
I love that, and I love the fact that it feels like you kind of like get into a state where you can then just like let the work flow out of you, as opposed
Yeah.
to sit there and think about all of the little intricacies, which is, when you look at your work, I mean, that's amazing because there are so many fine details. um then let's talk then a little bit about storytelling, because we released The
Yeah.
Journey, and then we've moved
Hmm.
into this collection, your first generative collection, which is called The
Yeah.
Inventory. Tell me about
Hmm.
what storytelling means to your practice.
There's we Andrea and me, we're always talking. We are always using this kind of concept for almost any kind of project. Then we transform it in the shape that is needed for any project. But we always talk about adventures or quests. We both are really obsessed, as I mentioned before, with all this fantasy universe, and of course, quests and adventures is something pretty basic on that. So we've been working and developing NFT things for a few months, years already. It's been always connected. Even from the very first thing that I made, it's belonging in a way to the same universe. You'll see in the future, everything is connected. There's like a lore, like an actual lore, where everything belongs to the same one. But it's like having Marvel universe, and you have so many different paths, so many different micro universes inside of this universe. So this one in particular, the story is pretty clear. I mean, we're gonna go for having some adventures, and the first thing you need for an adventure is a backpack. So that's the journey. You are getting the backpack, and you after that, what you need, something inside your backpack. So that's the inventory, the things you need for your adventure. So of course, this is the beginning of a story that we intend to continue, of course.
Love it. And I love it when you and I were talking about like what you were going to create. And we're going to get into the whole like creative process for a generative edition for sure. But
Yeah.
when we spoke about this, I remember you were talking initially about this idea, perhaps like maps. And I love the fact that because your artwork isn't like digital in its truest sense, in the sense like it still feels very comical, very very like illustrative, and so I was just wondering, based on the detail, like how on earth you were going to create something generative that would be different all of the time, and then I saw this idea of the inventory, and we were talking about RPG games, right? And I love this, and because this for me, I am a child of the Super Nintendo, the Sega Mega Drive, the PlayStation 1, and I remember what it meant to take your character around a game and like collect items, and only being able to carry a certain number of items at a time, and always being able to refer to the map. And I love this. What give me a little bit about that just quickly, like why that inspiration came for you.
Well, I have to say it starts a little bit sad, but it gets better. When I was a kid, we had no money, for video games, but I knew they exist, so I was just having a peek about them. But I wasn't able. My favorite video game, I think, is A Link to the Past from Super Nintendo, Zelda. And the first time that I was able to play it was maybe 5 years ago, when I was able to have the whole thing that I needed for. But of course, I've been paying. It became like an obsession when I was a kid, because I wanted that. I was obsessed with Baldur's Gate. In fact, Baldur's Gate is one of the main sources of inspiration for this kind of thing, the inventory and everything. And I always like, I mean, I have my own inventory for this kind of everyday carry thing, your backpack with your things for every day. I love that. So I wanted to do something like that, like paying a tribute to the kid that I wasn't able to play with those inventories. So and now I wanted to create something with my language, with my style.
Amazing. I'm going to play a very quick little jingly, which is no, wrong one. Here we go.
Artist Edition is live.
And that means that the public mint for the inventory by Ricardo Cavolo. That's right, yeah? Have I got that right?
Cavolo. Yeah, it's Italian. I'm not Italian, but the word is Italian.
So the generative edition is now live, and we are already well up from 71 as we were before it started to 118. So 119, sorry, one's just gone. But yes, really, really excited. Let me just give everybody a very quick run through of what's going on here. So Ricardo has created an absolutely amazing collection of artworks that are built out of like what would we call the so we've got like backgrounds, we've got why can't I think of the bit that goes around the outside? Why can't I think of the word for that?
Border.
A
The
frame?
frame, the borders.
Border?
Oh
Yeah.
my God!
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I froze. But yes, so we've got these wonderful backgrounds, these wonderful borders, and then inside we have companions, we have constellations, we have 8 items which range from little Game Boys to Walkmans to collectible cards, flowers, food, all kinds of comic books. We have like a traveling aid, like a compass, or there's a few different kind of varieties of that. We have a weapon. We have a companion, which is so cute. These little pets are so cute. We also have runes, which are like tablets with very like almost Viking or medieval kind of inscriptions on them. It is absolutely incredible. There could have been thousands of iterations of generations of this artwork, but we capped it at 999. They are available now. You go to OpenSea.io. It is on the front homepage as the banner. You can click through to that drop page. You can mint up to 10 pieces, and we are really excited to bring that to you. Holders of the Audio Galleries Mint Pass, if you mint one of these and you have your Mint Pass and they are in the same wallet, really, really important, because I then take a snapshot in the middle of next week, and then I will airdrop another piece of artwork which Ricardo sent to me this afternoon, and it is absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much again, Ricardo. It's another beautiful piece.
Thank you.
So yeah, really, really looking forward to that rolling out. So head over to there now, and it's 999 pieces, and we're really looking forward to minting this. Thanks to the team at OpenSea for your support for that. Let's move back into some questions. I'd actually quite like to know a little bit more about your discovery of Web3 and the Web3 space. Tell me.
Well, yeah, that's Andres' fault, in fact, because he's been more he's more the brain, in this in this path. Yeah, I mean, he's the one understanding and designing, the kind of the projects we're developing. And I am a simple worker with pencils, Apple pencils in this case. So yeah, of course, we've been always the nice thing of this this new path for us. Is the first, not the first time, but it's like the main path we have now to develop just our obsessions. As I mentioned before, we've been really into fantasy, all these type of things, and we're just, we're using this freedom given, in this Web3. I feel that when I if I have to talk about it, there's a freedom. Maybe not having in another paths, like with galleries and another circuits, So we were feeling free just to become crazy, and okay, let's start this thing that we are obsessed with since we were kids, and that's the thing we're doing. And we have, believe me, we have dozens of ideas and how can I say, games, projects for the future for Web3, because we have understood that it's a proper place to develop this type of things, and we see it's easy to connect with someone like you, for instance, also feeling and understanding that kind of universe, and it's really nice. I'm always talk about when I talk about the people enjoying my art, I talk about them like family, familia, and we also talk about that. And I feel that we're starting to have also a family in Web3, and I'm thrilled with that. I'm really happy.
Yeah, I couldn't be happier for you. So Andre, you are the brains of the outfit, I understand. I was surprised to hear that, having spoken with you a few times. How are you, Andre?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm really happy that the space is recorded, because this means that I will be able to re-listen to this statement by Ricardo.
Yeah. How has it been for you though? Like so you work really closely with Ricardo. You help him with like his positioning and his placement of his work and collaborations and all of those things. Tell me what it's been like working from a Web3 perspective and helping kind of like integrate and create this collection.
Well, working together with Ricardo for the past now 12 or 13 years, it's, as Ricardo says, storytelling and creating universes was always like one of our main um, inspiration, or like something that really like drove us happy. So we were trying always to like do more of that in our everyday. And when 3 or 4 years ago, when Fuck Render introduced me to uh, NFT, the blockchain, like I couldn't. It was like I couldn't believe, like for me it was like a revelation. It was like this was the missing piece in how Ricardo could elevate his storytelling. It took me it took me a long time with Ricardo to understand how we could do that, and most of all why we should do that. But we observed a lot of course, all the projects, all the collections, how our community were reacting to different type of art and different type of concepts. So we decided to create a first small collection, almost in the shadow. I think we didn't invest anything any money into marketing. We just made that. So Ricardo made the first collection called Champions of the Lost Alchemy, and this was like really an exercise for us to know how it was working. So I think that happened like in 2021, and as to be honest, I think when we minted the first work, I didn't know if anybody would be interested in that. And to my surprise, we were able to sell out everything very, very quickly, and we gathered that first family, that first crowd of people who are still with us every day since that day, and it's and of course they became friends. We talk, and we exchange ideas, and we it's really something different from, let's say, the corporate world, or the commercial, collaboration that Ricardo has been doing in the past, 12 years. So we are actually feeling like we could do this, all the time, and reduced the amount of, commercial collaborations, and increase the amount of family related projects, and so for us, it's really, it's a game changer, but we are trying to make things right and to make things slow so that we are able to adapt, and of course, we prefer to, how do you say, under promise and, over deliver. So is that a word?
It is.
Yeah,
It
I think
is.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's always a good way to be. I tried to do that with audio galleries too. So under promise, over deliver, and you can't go wrong really. As a founder, I would say. Thanks, Andre. I appreciate that, and perhaps come up in a moment when we start talking about what it's been like to actually pull this collection together, because that's something that I know has been really, really exciting for Ricardo and his practice. Ricardo, back to you. I did mute you a moment ago, so sorry, you will need to unmute yourself again. This is obviously your first generative collection. We've been working on it for what feels like a while now. I would love you to tell me what it's been like as a process to create all of these individual pieces that have then gone on to make up such a bigger body of work, and also your view on like the 999 supply, because I know that was something we really toyed with, the idea of this being open and just, unlimited, or actually capping it and saying, no, let's try and make it a bit more intimate, and let's try and make it a bit more special for those who really believe in what you're doing and want to be a part of that longer term journey. And you need to bring yourself off mute, Ricardo. Please don't tell me I've lost. Oh, there he is.
Sorry.
I thought I'd lost
Sorry.
you.
Sorry.
No worries.
I'm here. I'm here. Sorry. No. I have to say, my part of the process, the project, it's been delightful. I mean, I have been really, because I always wanted to develop something like, as I said before, as I mentioned before, my own inventory with my own obsessions, mixing Skeletor toy with a Game Boy, with comics, with magic cards, everything. So I was like Mr. Barnes when he shakes his hands because he knows he's getting something tasty. I was in that mood. I couldn't wait to start to draw. Also because, as I said before, I like to work fast, and in this case, even if it's so detailed, it's made by pieces. We mentioned that borders, maps, inventory, miscellaneous runes. So every single element is simple in a way, So it was like having all the time like sweets, candies all the time, and I was enjoying that because the next one it could be even better, and I would have more fun even than the previous one. So I had to be honest and to be how can I say, fair. I have to say I enjoyed a lot, and the hard work has been for Andre in this case because he was the one preparing every single item in its way, in its position, in its own folder. I mean, it's been a nightmare for him. I know he enjoyed it in a way, but I think at this time I'm the one enjoying the big thing.
It's really interesting, right? I wonder how many people who follow Web3 and have minted multiple projects and been a part of all of this are really, really clear on what it actually takes to create a collection in terms of like traits and placement of traits and moving them into folders and working with a developer on like the frequency in which they appear. And there are so many variables in the creation of this. And I mean, I don't know if you know offhand, Ricardo or Andre, how many traits are in this collection? Because there are a few, right?
I think Andre knows better than myself.
Oh, yeah. I think there is probably over, I want to say maybe 300-400.
Yeah.
But as Ricardo said, well, at first, we wanted to, like, at some point we wanted to do more, but then we decided to, let's try to first assemble them, and because there was a bit of magic in our mind where we thought that maybe just creating the artworks, we just have to put them in a machine that just creates results. But that was when I think the learning curve was the most, I would say, abrupt. It was to realize, that all those different positions and all the different scenarios, as had to be made, by us.
And so you've been working closely with A-Town and the guys over at Metaseed. They were introduced to me by Tristan, our lovely Tristan here, who has helped, and all of the generative drops that we've done with audio galleries, the guys at Metaseed have taken care of, and they do such a wonderful job of that. What has it been like working with a technical team? And I'm not going to do A-Town or Evan any disservice by saying like you're very much the creative in that relationship, and they're very, very much technical, and they work on the coding and the placement of pieces and stuff. Like, what has it been like pulling this collection together and with that new kind of relationship for you?
Well, there is no way that we could have achieved this without this team. I think that I'm fortunate because I come from a cartoon background, so where I was able to work in a blend of art and technology and mathematics. So I was able to translate and to summarize, the obstacles and the general idea, between Ricardo and between Metaseeds. But it was such a fruitful experience because now we know that, I mean, yes, we're super proud of, we put hundreds of hours into this, but because we did it ourselves and because there was a lot of, sweat, tears and a bit of blood in that process. But now we know, we wore those boots and we walked that path, and we're so excited because we know that there is so many ways for us to be able to connect that collection to so many things that we wanted to do for such a long time. So it's I really cannot wait for us to be jumping into the the next chapter of that
and I think
narrative.
that's
Definitely.
really important for people to know, right? Is whereas many of the and this is, I'm not playing down many of the other mints that we've done, but many of the mints that we have done have been pieces of artwork to celebrate an artist's practice, and the journey stops there. And this collection very much is a part of the broader narrative that Ricardo is looking forward to rolling out in the Web3 space. That's a fair thing to say, right?
Absolutely.
Awesome. I love it. I would love to know, we spoke a little bit about this kind of like pivot, Ricardo, that you guys have taken from kind of like commercial collaborations now into this kind of like working and creating work that you can share with the family. And I love the fact that you call them that. Going back though to those kind of like collaborations, I mean, you've had some fantastic ones. You've worked with great music acts. You've worked with, big super brands like Mercedes-Benz and the tequila brand that I can never pronounce. There we are. Tell me what it's been like when you collaborate with other brands, and what it means to you to be able to put your artwork out there for other audiences to discover via a different product.
I always think that I always say that I love the challenge to change the format, the canvas. I love to be working this week for I don't know, for the design of a sneakers, and then the next week is about to illustrations for a book, and then for fashion, and that change, that commuting from this to the next one. Usually you should be feel a little bit afraid of because it's a change, and change usually it's frightening sometimes, but I love that also because I hate to be bored, so I need that change. Just the jumping from this format to the next format is always amazing. And if you mix that with the fact that sometimes when we're working with a big brand, so your work has been seen in probably all over the world, or in a big part of the world, or almost in the other point of the globe. And I love that. Again, it's about the family. It's like, I mean, of course we're working because we need the money, but the soul, I feel my soul is fed just feeling this connection with people from Thailand, Melbourne, or Chile. And I love that. Maybe because I was a lonely kid, probably. So I feel it's one of the best feelings that I have with this work.
Beautiful. I've got a silly question for you. I've seen you create, like, you've drawn the Joker. I've seen you draw all of the Simpsons characters. I've seen you drawing like multiple different characters from like popular culture. What's your favorite group of characters to draw, and why?
Nah, I cannot choose. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
really?
No, I can't. I mean, there's a space for all of them. Of course, and I'm happy to say that it depends of the day, it depends of the year, it depends of the month. I mean, maybe a couple of years ago, I was obsessed as usual, but since I was a kid, with the Simpsons, because I was working in a book about them, and then I moved to the Motu universe because I needed that, and I'm happy to having all those sons and daughters, in my universe. So I'm not choosing. I'm sorry, but I'm not choosing this time.
Can you tell me then that one thing I'm curious about? You have this really iconic thing within your practice where you create double sets of eyes. So you create a set of eyes on top of another set of eyes. Can you tell me a little bit about the story behind that?
Yes. As my brother Andre would say, in a nutshell, I can say that well, my parents got divorced when I was 2 years old, and my mother, she got married with a Roma or Gypsy man. So I was I was introduced to that world in Spain is there's a lot of gypsies or Roma people, and they were living in a different way, we can say, in the 80s, usually with a lot of poverty and everything. So and a lot of them, in between them, my father-in-law, he wasn't able to read or write when he was 40 years old. So my mother, he was teaching him when they met. And I found out when I was a kid, and I told him, because he was really wise, and I told him, how are you so wise if you can't write or read, this idiot thing when you're a kid? And he told me, because I've seen so many things in my life. Because he's been selling donkeys all over Spain with his dad since he was 6, 7 years old. So he saw everything in the trips. So I love that. The more you see, the more you know, the deeper you are. So it's like giving to my characters something nice. It's a superpower, or just a touch of love
I
for
see
them.
it.
More
So
eyes.
so it's like giving them the
Yeah.
opportunity to see more with more eyes. That's
Exactly.
amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. We have
you.
a very good friend of mine called Lurk. Lurk loves you. Hi, Lurk. Lurk is another wonderful artist and kind of character illustrator. I don't know if I've annoyed him by calling him that. Lurk, how you doing, man?
Can't believe what you just told me.
Look, I don't know if you had a question for Ricardo, because you requested to come up.
Yeah, I mean, I think me and Ricardo have some similar motives. So I was just like, I just wanted to give him some flowers, if anything, Ben. But also just ask, like, with the eyes, like, did you get that influence a lot from Cubism? Because that's where I got it. Or like, I got a little bit from a lot of traditional art coming out of Africa too. So I was just wondering if like that's where it came from, the same place, because I think we have some similar sort of things going on.
Yeah, it's true that hello, Lord. Thanks for the question. It's true that you could find the inspiration there, but not. In fact, I'm not the biggest fan of Cubism, to be honest. They used to they tend to use ugly colors, and I'm more about pure colors. But if I have to link this with any kind of previous visual, it's more related with religious art in medieval age. Especially, it was the symbolism. It was really it was a big thing. They were using symbols for talking about something higher or bigger, and this type of choices about using an extra set of eyes of everything. I've seen those in some illuminated books from early medieval age.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's awesome, man. I was just wondering, like I think I probably got a little bit of that medieval thing in there as well, growing up in England, you know.
Yeah.
But I was just wondering, like, if it was like a similar thing, because me, you, Ben, we're obviously from the same era and like all that, you know. So like, there's obviously, I think we just all get the same influences in there. And I love your artwork, by the way. I think we've been following each other for a long time.
Thank you
So
so
if you're
much.
not following Ricardo, everybody make sure you follow.
And Lurk. And Lurk.
Thanks,
Lurk. I really appreciate that. So look, we are almost at time. If anybody else had a question, then now would be a great time to ask. But I think I am so excited to be sharing this collection under the Audio Galleries banner. Like, I'm absolutely honored, if I'm honest, Ricardo, and I'm really grateful to both you and Andre for the way that you have been so kind of like open and excitable and open to suggestion in terms of how we pull this together. I think it's a wonderful collection. It's beautiful representation of your practice. And so I just wanted to say thank you so much. Also, you mustn't ever worry about your English, because you speak perfectly. and
well,
I think it was something.
Speaks better English than me, mate.
But I think it was something that perhaps you worried yourself about, because you've been really a great guest, and I'm really grateful. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I have to say the same thing. I mean, I'm really, I feel honored, and I feel like a newbie. I'm a newbie in Web3. All of us, but I mean, I'm not the 100% of my work is based on that. So being hosted by you and being helped and being chosen by you, it's been an honor, a pleasure that I just hope we can continue doing beautiful things.
I'm certain we can. And thank you to Andre also. Okay, guys, look, I'm going to wrap because it has been a full hour. Thank you to Tristan. Appreciate you and your time. Go have some wonderful jet-lagged meetings and then a rest this weekend. Thank you to the team from Rug Radio for coming up and joining the show. Thanks again to Sabrina, who sits behind the OpenSea account, and to Sigrid, my colleague and co-founder of Audio Galleries. Really, really appreciate you all. People, if you have not been yet, you must head over to opensea.io, and on the homepage banner, you will see this wonderful collection by Ricardo called The Inventory. Please go check it out and then mint. It is 0.029 Ethereum. There are 999 pieces available. It's a beautiful collection. And as you now know, it will lead to more, this narrative that Ricardo is telling through Web3, and I cannot wait to be a part of that. Thanks so much, everyone. Ricardo, last words from you?
Thank you. I just want to say thank you. I'm really happy with everything that's happening today. So thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. I'm going to play out with Ricardo's Choice, In the Garage by Weezer. Oh my God, I love this band. And yeah, have a good weekend, everyone. GM. This is Audio Galleries. Conversations. Connecting collectors and art enthusiasts.